Welcome back to Ghost Pirate Entertainment. I'm your host, Kainan Becker, and today I review Phantasm IV Oblivion. So Phantasm IV, to me, goes back to its roots. This one has less action and much more dialogue, but I really like that. I feel like it has a really great script, tells much more of kind of the mythology and the mystery. It gives you a little more of a glimpse behind the curtain at Tall Man and this other universe and why Tall Man is who he is, or at least starts to hint at that. These movies very slowly tell you the story of what's really going on. But this one does give you a little bit more of it and lets you see a little bit more of it. They might have gone smaller with this, less action and stuff. Probably a lot to do with the budget of this movie. You can definitely see the limited budget when you see the special effects that they have in this. I mean, there are some really bad, really cheesy moments. Like this one zombie cop. His mask is very rubbery, very cheesy. But this in general has that late 90s, early 2000s kind of CW Buffy feel about it. But it's still a lot of fun. This one, like I said, is less action, but it's still a fun ride. There's a lot of really great campy scenes. This one definitely still has a lot of that campy quality. There's some really fun scenes like Michael just cruising along in this big black hearse. I mean, the coach, as Tall Man likes to put it. And he's just rolling along like it's just a normal car. He's just cruising down the road. It's very awesome. I love it. At one point, Tall Man tells Michael the hearse can drive itself, right? But then a few minutes later, the coach is overheating and broke down on the side of the road. So it's like, it can drive itself, but it still overheats. I just thought that was great. So the basic premise of this is Michael is starting to transform in what you think is basically the species or whatever the hell Tall Man is. He's slowly turning into Tall Man, or at least Tall Man's type. And he takes off from Reggie, you assume mostly to protect Reggie. They never really quite say that, but that's what it seems like. He takes off on his own. He's driving this black coach. But yeah, so he is off trying to figure things out on his own. Reggie is pissed off because he just feels like that Michael abandoned him, not necessarily that he's protecting him. He just feels like he abandoned him, and so he leaves him kind of in this bad situation at the end of the last movie. So he's pissed off at Michael, and he's just kind of like, "Fuck you, I'm done. Like, I'm gonna go off and live my life. I'm done fighting Tall Man. I'm done with all of this." And Reggie is much more worn out and grumpy and tired in this movie. The fun-loving qualities that are great about Reggie seem to not be there as much. Like, for instance, he sees this really hot girl with a broke-down car at one point, and he looks over, and you could see his wheels turning and thinking, that he could basically get up on this girl like he does in every other movie. Like, damsel in distress, he saves them and then tries to get it on with them and humps their leg. You can see that thought goes through his brain, and he thinks about it, and then he just drives away. And it's like, he's just tired. He's just done with everything. And I think that's cool. It's cool to show that evolution in this character that would inevitably happen. If you're going through all this shit, you're eventually going to hit your wall, like the point where you just can't do this anymore. So I think that that's pretty cool. So then Reggie is cruising along, like I said, he's like, screw this, I'm going out and doing my own thing, I'm done with all this. And Jody comes back and appears. Like I said, like in the other movies, Jody's now able to basically go from reality to reality, from universe to universe in the ball format. Anyway, he appears to Reggie and he's like, "Hey, Michael's in trouble, you need to help him." And at first, Reggie's like, "Fuck you, I'm done." And then basically he gets convinced to go try to hunt down Michael. Michael is trying to figure things out, and he starts to realize he has some powers. He ends up going to parallel reality where he runs into Tall Man and start to kind of find out and see little glimpses of what makes Tall Man, or what made Tall Man what he is today. He runs into Tall Man basically before he was evil, and starts to kind of see a little bit of what that's all about and how Tall Man began. One of my favorite things about this movie is they use deleted scenes from the original. And you could definitely see why they were deleted from the original. They don't really fit with what they ended up ultimately doing. They don't quite work. There are certain things about them that are just kind of but in this, it adds that really cool dimension. It brings back that kind of cool quality that Phantasm had early on, where you never quite knew what was dreams and what was reality, because they would jump around with timelines and things, you know, like the way the pacing was done. It was like fast and slow, and just had this really cool, creepy quality about it. And by adding these deleted scenes into this one, I felt like it really started to kind of have that feel again. You know, this movie is definitely not, you know, it isn't on the level of some of these other movies, but it is still a cool movie, and there's a lot of really great things. You could see what they were going for. So basically, Reggie hunts down Michael. They have another showdown with Tall Man, and then it kind of leaves you hanging again, like the other ones do in the past. And, you know, they only ever give you a little bit. But all in all, this one's fun. It, like I said, it isn't as action-packed, but it leans more back into having a little more of a script and story. It feels like the pacing is slowed down a little bit, and they focus on some details more. So I like that about it. So if you're on this ride with me and you've watched 1, 2, and 3, keep it rolling with number 4. And next up is number 5. So tune back in tomorrow, where I will post number 5, the final one, which there's talks that maybe they're going to make another one down the road, but Angus Grimm passed away. So I don't know. I don't know if they'll ever do another one. And if they do, I don't see how it could ever be the same without Angus Grimm. So speaking of Angus Grimm, there is one really cool element about this that I didn't mention, and it's that you get to see him as a nice guy. And it's really great, because if you know much about Angus Grimm, he's considered to be one of the most like sweetest, loving, classy guys in the horror industry, and he's very missed. He was very, very loved. So yeah, you get to see him smile a little bit and be like more of a regular guy, nice guy in this, and it's pretty cool. It's only for a tiny little spot, but it's pretty cool to see him that way when all you've seen him as is this, you know, evil giant tall man. So, but yeah. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Crush that like button, and remember, horror can be fun. I will see you next time.